Good morning. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. And so let's start out. Let's actually start out in a comfortable seat. So, a couple options could be to sit on maybe a blanket, cross legged. And that's actually how I'm going to sit. So, I have blocks here. If you want, you could also come to lying down if that would feel more comfortable. We're just going to come in to a nice gentle position to help you kind of come into the moment. So allow your eyes to close or maybe soften your gaze. And you can begin to lengthen through your spine, allowing the crown of your head to reach up towards the sky. And then just notice your surroundings, the support of the ground beneath you. Start to tune into any areas of your body that are starting to maybe come into your awareness. And this morning I wanted to talk about one of the yamas. So I have this book by Deborah Dell called The Yamas and the Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice. So last month we were looking at ahimsa, and that one is nonviolence. And this month I wanted to start by looking at satya, which means truthfulness. So when I think about truthfulness, I can think about there's these 4 questions, and I always forget what they are. So I tried to come up with a little acronym for them. And I thought of TUNK. Is it true? Is it useful? Is it necessary? And is it kind? So thinking about when we talk to other people about our truth, are these questions that we can answer? Is it something that is true? Is it something that is necessary to say? Is it useful to the person? And is it kind? So I tried to come up with just that acronym to help me remember. Good morning. So we're just getting started.
Okay, I'm just unmuting.
Um, so if you want to just explore this concept of satya this morning, truthfulness, you can just think about maybe an intention that you might have for your practice. Maybe during your practice, you can think about, how do you honestly feel in the pose? Is this something that you want to explore? And I always try to invite you to modify anything to meet your needs. And so sometimes I have to ask myself that when I'm in class. Is this something that is useful to me? Is this the way I want to do it? And a lot of times I will actually modify, and I have to question myself if I'm modifying the pose because I don't want to do it. Am I avoiding it? Is that being honest with myself, or am I really just taking my own body and my own needs into consideration? So then we'll go ahead and blink the eyes open, and hopefully you're in a comfortable seat now. And so let's start to roll the shoulders. So just start to inhale, roll the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, slide them down your back. And start to focus on your breath, sending your breath into your shoulders. It might feel good to toggle one shoulder at a time. And when you're ready, you can reverse the direction of your toggle, bringing the shoulder up from behind, and then alternating the opposite shoulder up from behind. And then we can sink the shoulders up together. So drawing the shoulder blades together, Inhale to bring the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale, allow them to cascade down in front. Let's take 3 more rounds like this, just following the pace of your own breath and either closing the eyes or softening the gaze. And once you arrive in center, let's inhale to reach the arms out wide to the sides. You can press the walls away, just getting a stretch through the forearms, maybe the tops of the wrists. And then exhale, close the fists and bring the knuckles down below. So they're pointing down. And then we'll inhale to swivel the knuckles up towards the sky. Exhale to rotate them down. A few more times just like this. Inhale, reach them, the fingers up, or the knuckles up. Exhale, point them down. And one more time. And then we'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead, and you can look up. And exhale, let's interlace the fingers, and you can begin to cradle the back of the head with the hands. And just look up. On your next exhale, point the gaze forward, and then we're going to bring the right elbow in towards the center. You can start to lean over to the right as you point the left elbow up towards the sky. Inhale, we'll come back to center, opening the elbows wide. And then on the next exhale, you can bring the left elbow in, tilt over towards the left as you stretch the right elbow up towards the sky. Maybe look up. Inhale here, and exhale, come back to center. We'll release the hands up towards the sky, and then exhale, allow the fingers to come down in front. Now you can bring your hands in front, and we'll go ahead and take a few figure eights with the wrists, just warming up the wrists. And you can reverse the direction when you're ready. And then go ahead and release the hands, give them a nice gentle shake. And then let's bring the hands on top of the shoulders. So you're going to lengthen the spine, allow the crown of the head to reach up towards the sky. And then on your next inhale, swivel to the left. And exhale, swivel to the right. And you might speed this up and use a little bit of momentum. Maybe even increasing your breath with a quick inhale and quick exhale. And when you're ready, go ahead and release that, coming back to center. You might close down the eyes, soften the gaze, bring your hands onto your lap, and just notice how that made you feel. When you're ready, we'll come onto our backs. And if you have any blocks handy, you might just keep them next to you in case you want to use them for anything. So we'll come onto our backs with our knees facing up towards the sky, and the feet planted on the mat. And just go ahead and Bring your arms now next to your hips. And then with your next inhale, you can float the arms up overhead, reaching them up past the ears. Sending a little breath into the shoulders. Exhale to lower the arms back down. And you might lift the head up, reaching the arms towards the knees. And then exhale to release. Let's inhale, reaching the arms up past the ears. Exhale to lower, maybe rolling the chin up towards the chest. And then go ahead and release that head back down. On your inhale, you can float the arms up one more time. Reach them up past the ears. And then exhale. You can float the arms back down and maybe roll the chin up towards the chest. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then exhale to release the head back down. Let's bring the hands one more time to interlace underneath the head. And you can maybe massage with your thumbs the base of your skull. Sending some nice deep breaths to any areas of the neck that have any tension. And then we're going to just do a little bit of core work here. So with your next exhale, go ahead and pulse your nose up towards the sky. You can inhale to lower back down, exhale to pulse it up, just activating the strength of your core. Go ahead and take a few rounds, just following the pace of your own breath. Maybe you want to lift the knees to make it a little more challenging, bringing your shins parallel with the ceiling. And with your next exhale, you can release that. We'll plant the feet back on the mat, and then bringing your hands down next to your hips. Let's go ahead and inhale to lift the hips, using the strength of the glutes and the hamstrings for bridge pose. On your next exhale, you can lower the spine back down. Inhale for another lift into bridge. Imagining you could energetically slide your heels back towards your sit bones. And on your next exhale, go ahead and roll back down one vertebrae at a time. And then we'll take one more round, and this time you can hold your bridge. If you have a block and you want to make it more supportive, you could slide the block underneath your sacrum. Or if you're wanting to hold it, you might even shimmy your shoulders underneath your body and interlace your fingers behind you. Take a few rounds of steady breath here, strengthening the legs, the glutes. And then when you're ready, you can release the hands and roll the spine back down one vertebrae at a time. If you have a strap or maybe any kind of blanket or I should say towel, or maybe the tie for a robe, this can be helpful when you draw the knees into the chest. You can either wrap your hands around your thighs, the back of your thighs, the front of your shins, or I like to bring a strap right across the front of the shins. Give yourself a nice big hug. Maybe gently rock from side to side. You might draw your nose up one more time towards your knees. Lengthening through the back of your spine. when you're ready, you can release that. And we'll allow the knees to stay up towards the sky. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and press your palms up towards the sky. So you're in an upside down tabletop position. You might begin to feel the strength of your abs as you press the low back towards the mat, drawing the belly button in towards the spine. You can stay here, finding a smooth, steady breath, or if you'd like a little more core engagement, you might gently slide your right arm and left leg out to hover. Exhale, bringing them back to center. Inhale, we'll rotate left arm, right leg. And exhale, bring it back to center. You can go ahead and alternate side to side, just following the pace of your own breath. And let's take one more round on each side. What I like about doing this posture on your back, this is the equivalent of a bird dog in a tabletop, but you don't have to be on the wrists as much. So whenever you're ready, you can release the feet back down to the mat. Take a nice deep breath, and then we'll bring the knees into the chest. You might bring your nose towards your knees and gently rock and roll on the spine. Whenever you're ready, you can rock yourself up into a seat. And then we'll swivel the feet around and come onto hands and knees. So you can plant your palms underneath your shoulders. If you have blocks and you don't want to be on your wrists, sometimes I like to give my wrists a break and just bring my forearms onto blocks, or you can even bring the forearms onto the mat. So we're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow. So wherever you land, whatever feels right for you and your body today, on your next inhale, you can drop the belly, lift the gaze, reaching the heart through the arms, and then exhale. Draw the belly towards the spine. Maybe drop the gaze down towards the knees. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. After your next cat pose, let's come back to neutral spine. And this time, imagine you're like a baby crawling. So you're going to bring your left knee towards your left palm and step your right palm forward. So you're kind of in an offset position. And you might try just a few rounds of cat and cow here. So inhale, drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale, round the spine for cat. Let's just do two more. You might just notice how in this offset position, how does it feel in the body? Are you feeling it in different places? Just noticing and observing the sensations. After your last round there, we'll meet up in a tabletop. And before we do the other side, let's rest for a moment in child's pose. So bring the big toes to touch. You might open the knees up wide. And then you can sink the hips back and walk the hands forward. Allow the forehead to rest on the mat. And since we only did one side in that crawling position, you might just notice any differences that you feel from left to right. If your forehead doesn't quite reach the mat, if you had a block, you could rest your forehead on the block, or you could even stack the palms and rest the forehead on the back of the palms. Take one more nice deep breath in Child's Pose. And then when you're ready, we'll come back up to table. We're going to do that crawl on the other side. So with the hands right underneath the shoulders, you can step the right knee forward, step the left hand forward, and then we'll take our 3 rounds of cat and cow right here. Inhale to drop the belly. Exhale to round the spine. And when you're ready, we'll come back to neutral. And then let's just take 3 more rounds of cat and cow here. Inhale to drop the belly. Exhale to round the spine. You might take a moment to really notice all the different movements the spine can make. And just marvel at the design of your perfect body. And we'll come back to neutral. And then you can bring the knees a little wider than hips distance. And let's bring the right hand right next to the right ear. With your next inhale, go ahead and rotate the right elbow up towards the sky. You might look up. And then on your next exhale, you can bring your right elbow down towards your left wrist. Inhale, we'll open the right elbow up towards the sky. Exhale, bring the right elbow down towards the left wrist. And one more time, inhale, reaching the right elbow up. And this time you might bring the right hand all the way up towards the sky, releasing the elbow straight. And then on the next exhale, we'll swim that right hand underneath the body, twisting to come onto the right shoulder. You can allow the head, the temple to rest. Maybe you continue to support your weight with your left hand. It really helps me if I kind of open my knees up wide like Child's Pose here. You might decide that you want to walk your left hand out in front. Maybe it would feel good to swivel the the left hand around and allow the palm, the back of the palm, to rest at the low back or anywhere on the back that feels good. Taking some nice deep breaths into the shoulder. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And if your left hand is resting on your low back, you can bring the left palm underneath the left shoulder to anchor your weight, and then press into the ground as you inhale to open the right side, maybe looking up. On the next exhale, we'll come back to tabletop. And then we're going to try the other side. So anchoring your weight on your right hand, you can bring the left hand to spread around the left ear. And then maybe inhale, opening the elbow up, maybe looking up. Exhale to bring the elbow, left elbow towards the right wrist. Inhale, swivel open the left elbow up towards the sky. Exhale, bring the elbow down towards the wrist. And then one more time, opening the left elbow. You might reach the left hand up towards the sky. And then on the next exhale, allow the left hand to circle down, and we'll thread the needle under, coming onto the left shoulder, resting your left temple. Maybe it helps to open the knees up wide, making room for the belly to rest. You can continue to support yourself with your right hand, or you might crawl the right fingertips out like child's pose, or maybe you want to spin the right hand around and allow the back of the hand to rest at the low back. Take some nice deep breaths here, breathing into the shoulder. Just noticing where you feel sensation. And with your next exhale, you can allow the right palm to slide off of the back if it's resting there. We'll anchor the right hand underneath the right shoulder. And then on your next inhale, press into the right hand as you sweep the right arm open. Maybe looking up. With your next exhale, we'll come back to tabletop. And now let's come onto the forearms. Give the wrists a little bit of a rest. And we'll bring the knees back underneath the hips. And this time you can slide the right leg back, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat. You can send breath cascading down the back of the right leg. You might feel this stretch in the calf. Not collapsing into the shoulders, just using the forearms to help support you. And then we'll take one more nice deep breath. With your next exhale, you can bring the knee back underneath the hip, and then we'll switch sides. So sliding the left leg back. You can tuck the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat, finding length through the back of the calf. Imagining the breath like the wave of an ocean. Imagining it crashing and soothing out the back of the leg. Next, we're going to come into a forearm plank. So you can either have your hands interlaced here, or you can press the palms towards the mat. I like to interlace my hands. And with your left leg back, you're going to now pick up your right leg and slide your right leg back. You can lower onto the knees gently for a little more support. And you might find some strengthening in the core here. Maybe a little shake. Muscles that we haven't really used much. And whenever you feel ready, you can gently lower onto the belly, untuck the toes, and then with the elbows underneath the shoulders, we'll come into Sphinx Pose. So pressing the palms onto the mat, you can energetically drag them back as you reach the heart forward. You might find a gentle back bend here. With your next exhale, we'll swivel the elbows forward and then stack the palms. And you can lower your head onto the back of your palms to rest in crocodile pose. Allow yourself to really rest here, relaxing all effort. Allowing the breath to fill the back of the body, our seat of self-care. In our modern world where we a lot of times experience anxiety, this is a great pose to help change up the breath, bringing the breath into the back of the body. Now we'll slide the hands behind us with the palms face up, and you can send your gaze over to the right. Because I have large breasts, I like to tuck my toes under and then slightly move myself a little bit forward to make space so that my left temple can reach the mat. Allow yourself to soften here. Maybe you have a nice sensation of the pressure against the temple. A nice gentle twist for the neck. And on the next inhale, we'll float the gaze up, lift the chest, reach the arms back, and maybe even lift the feet for Locust Pose, using the strength of your spine and the strength of your core. Keeping a soft, gentle gaze. And then with your next exhale, turn your gaze to your left and relax all effort, bringing the right temple to the mat. Sending your gaze to the left, relaxing. Allow yourself to delight in this time of rest. And this time, if you'd like to turn this into a bow pose, you can bend the knees so that the heels are kicked back towards the sit bones, or you can keep the legs long. And we'll inhale to rise up onto the belly, reaching the arms behind us towards the heels. Maybe you reach and grab one ankle. Maybe you reach and grab both ankles. And if not, you can continue to reach for the ankles. If you've caught the ankles with your hands, you might start to kick the feet into the hands and rise up a little taller. And then with your next exhale, we'll soften all of our effort. If you have blocks next to you, you can move them out of the way. We'll return to looking to the right, allowing the left temple to relax onto the mat. And taking a moment to check in with the breath. Next, we're going to go for a little chest opener while we're here. So go ahead and bring your arms next to you in a letter T shape. And we'll begin to roll onto our left side. So you can creep the left fingertips over to the left as you roll onto the left side. Again, resting the left temple. You can either leave the legs stacked here, if this is enough sensation for the pec muscles and the shoulder. Or if you'd like to deepen the stretch, you could bend the right knee and plant the right foot behind the left leg. Another option would be to bring the right hand down and grasp hold of the right ankle with the right hand, allowing the knees to stack. And this might be a nice stretch for the quad, allowing the right knee to fall down towards the left knee. Take a nice deep breath here. And with your next exhale, if you're in that bind, you can release the foot. We'll roll back onto the belly. And then we're going to do the other side. So creeping the right fingertips directly over to the right. As you roll onto the right side, allow your temple to rest and your knees to stack. If you'd like to deepen the stretch, you might bend the left knee, plant the left foot behind you, or maybe you grasp hold of the left ankle with the left hand and allow that top knee to fall down towards the bottom knee, flexing the toes towards the knee. And just notice where you can send your breath. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath wherever you landed. And then when you're ready, you can release the foot if you're in the bind. We'll roll back onto the belly and then bring the palms underneath the shoulders. You can tuck the toes under and either press up through a plank or through a table. And we'll take one downward facing dog. So if you're wanting to skip down dog, you can always find a child's pose instead. Let's walk our palms a little forward of our shoulders, and then you can tuck the toes under and lift the hips up and back, maybe keeping the knees bent or sashaying the hips a little side to side. Wherever you landed, we're going to make our way to a forward fold. So you can get there however feels right to you. Maybe from down dog, you're walking your feet to your hands, or maybe your hands to your feet. And we'll come into a forward fold. You might wrap your opposite hand around your opposite elbow. Just allow yourself to hang heavy, maybe ragdoll from side to side. You might shake your head no, and nod your head yes. Coming back to the idea of satya, truthfulness. And then we'll release the hands down towards the mat. And we'll come into a halfway lift. So you can bring your hands to your shins or your thighs, or if you have blocks, you might have them on the tall setting. And we'll inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then bending the knees generously. Let's allow the spine to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Bringing your head up last. We'll inhale to reach the arms up overhead, looking up, and then exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. On your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And this time, just like we did in the ragdoll, we'll grasp hold of the opposite elbow. So maybe I'll step back so you can see me a little better. So you're in that maybe upward. From here, you can lean your head sort of back so you're feeling like your whole head is cradled by your arms. And then with your next exhale, just tilt just your torso over to the right. Inhale back to center and exhale, tilt over to the left. Let's do that one more time on each side. So inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, tilt over to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, tilt it over to the left. Let's come back to center now. We'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, you can sink back into a chair. As much or as little as you'd like. Imagining there was a chair right behind you. You might even bring your hands to heart center. With your next exhale, we'll come up onto the tippy toes, and you might float your hands back behind you for drinking bird. Exhale, lower the heels. Inhale, straighten it up tall. Upward salute. And then exhale, hinge from the hips as you swan dive forward. We'll inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. Now I meant to be at the top of my mat. So if you're not at the top of your mat, let's make our way there. And if you have blocks handy, you can put them on the medium setting here. And we're going to step the right foot back. So you're in a runner's lunge. Now you can either do this upright or, with the knee lifted or the knee lowered. So at this point, you're going to want to choose. Do you want to work a little bit more on balance and stay with the knee lifted? Or do you prefer to gently lower the knee? And you could even pad the knee with maybe a blanket. So this is what I'm going to choose to do. So with your knee lowered or lifted, we're going to come up tall into a low lunge. And from here, you can inhale to reach your arms up overhead and maybe look up. With your next exhale, interlace your fingers and go ahead and cradle the back of your head as you look up. Now we're going to work our left knee. Did I say our left knee was forward? Our left knee is forward. So bring your left elbow forward and then start to just gently arch over to the left as you reach the right elbow up. And we'll come back to center. Inhale the arms back up overhead. And then exhale to bring the hands down to frame the foot. And we'll lift the back knee with the palms down on the blocks or on the ground. And then you can step the right foot forward to meet the left, coming into your forward fold. On your next inhale, let's do a halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then inhale, bend the knees, and then sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. You can close down the eyes or soften the gaze and just take a moment to check in with your breath, your intention that you set for your practice today. And then we'll get ready for the other side. So inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. Now I have my blocks on the medium setting. And this time we're going to step the left foot back. So you can either do this movement in crescent lunge or low lunge. So right now we're in a runner's lunge. If you'd like more stability, you can gently lower that left knee, maybe onto a blanket or onto the mat. And then whenever you're ready, pressing yourself up tall, we'll inhale to reach the arms up overhead. And exhale, this time interlacing the hands one more time behind the head. You might gently lean back. We're going to bring the right elbow forward. Start to just gently lean over to the right as the left elbow reaches up towards the sky. And we'll come back to center now. Inhale the arms back up overhead. Exhale to swim them back down to the ground. You can press the hands on the mat or on blocks. And then we'll inhale to lift the left knee. And on your next exhale, you can step it forward, coming into a forward fold. Go ahead, allow yourself to hang heavy in your forward fold. Maybe one more time, you wrap your arms around your opposite elbows and gently sway from side to side. From here, we'll come into a halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to sweep the arms up overhead. And exhale to bring the hands to the heart center. Let's inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. If you have blocks and you want to use them for your down dog, you might put them on the lowest setting. And then I like to have just the heel of my palm towards the back. And we'll step back to downward facing dog. Or you can always come into hands and knees, tabletop. And we'll all actually meet up in tabletop. We're going to make our way to our seat. So in whatever way works for you, I'm going to get the blanket out of my way and the blocks out of the way. And you can swivel your hips around to come onto your seat. And with your feet on the mat, let's bring the feet as wide as the mat and then allow the knees to float over to the right. You can bring your right hand behind you and swim your left arm up and overhead. Take a nice deep breath here in this twist. And then we'll inhale to come back to center, wrapping the hands around, floating the knees, this time over to the left. You can plant the left arm behind you and reach the right hand up and overhead. We're going to do this one more time on each side. So wrapping the arms around, you can float the knees through center. This time as you plant the right hand, if you'd like, you might even lift the hips and reach the left fingertips back. Take a nice deep breath here. Exhale to gently lower back down. And we'll sweep the arms and knees again over to the left. Plant the left hand behind you. Maybe you lift the hips and reach the right hand back. You might lift your gaze towards your right fingertips. With the next exhale, you can gently lower back down. And then we'll come back to center and reach the arms out past the knees. You might stay here, or if you'd like, you can come into boat pose. A couple different variations. I like to bring my hands behind my thighs and help lift up into a boat. From here, if you want, you can reach your arms out long. Maybe reach your legs out long. And then whenever you're ready, we'll roll onto the back. Give yourself a nice big hug. Maybe gently rock it from side to side. You might walk your hands up towards your ankles, maybe towards the edge of your foot for happy baby pose, bringing the knees towards the armpits and gently rocking from side to side. Might feel good to land on the right knee, stretch the left leg long. Maybe you rock over to the left knee for support and stretch the right leg long. Let's go ahead and take a moment to explore your happy baby pose. And then whenever you're ready, you can release your feet. If there are any last poses you'd like to take before your final resting pose, you can do them now. If you're ready for your Savasana, you might find a way to cozy up with socks. Maybe you have a blanket that you can drape over the body. Find a way to make yourself comfortable. If you have a wall space that's handy, you might even stretch your legs up the wall. And the way I like to get into legs up the wall is to imagine I'm right next to a wall. I'm going to keep my legs into a letter L. Shimmy your hips right up against the wall, especially the bottom hip. And then you can swing your legs up to rest against the wall. I don't have a wall space here handy to show that. So whenever you arrive into your final resting pose, take a moment to offer yourself gratitude. And then take a moment to gently scan first the face, noticing if there's any places that you can soften. Maybe the forehead. Perhaps you can soften gently the eyelids. Allow the jaw to release any holding. Soften the shoulders down. And just become aware of all the places that the body is making contact with the earth. Allow the earth in all of its abundance to rise and meet you, supporting you. Allow everything in you to relax. You might even notice the impression that your body makes on the earth. And to close, I thought I might just read us a few quotes about the theme for today, Satya, truthfulness. Living the life that cries to be lived from the depth of our being frees up our energy and vitality. We benefit, and everyone around us also benefits. I also thought this was an important quote too. We are here on this earth to self-express in a way that no one else ever has or ever could. This week you might contemplate Satya, truthfulness. And we notice too how Satya, truthfulness, comes after ahimsa, nonviolence. So when we are experiencing our truth, are we expressing it in a way that is answering the questions, is it true? Is it also useful? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath in your Shavasana, and if you'd like, you can always stay longer here, Or if you'd like to begin to reawaken the body, you can invite a little bit of movement into the fingers, into the toes. Gently rotate the wrists and the ankles. And with your next inhale, go ahead and reach the arms up past the ears, finding a long body stretch. Whenever you're ready, you can roll onto one side and support yourself in a fetal position, maybe cradling your head onto your bicep. Taking a nice deep breath. Whenever you're ready, you're welcome to invite yourself up into a seat. Maybe you circle your arms up overhead. Exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. Allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this morning. Namaste.